Hey folks, welcome to the Triple T Thursday. For those just joining us, that's Tools, Tips, and Talk, where we'll discuss info for the knife maker. In honor of the Samurai Challenge coming in a couple of weeks, and I'm doing a katana for that one, I figured I would show you guys how to do the Sageo knot. If you're not sure what that is, that's one of these. And that is the knot that goes on the scabbard or the saya. So I figured how to show you how to tie one of those in case you guys need one for your build. Okay, we're ready to start the wrap of the Sageo or the cord around the saya. And this makes a pretty little butterfly, whatever you want to call it, around this little knob here, which is called a kurigata. So this kurigata has a hole in it, and it should be placed, I don't know, 3 to 5 inches from the top, the opening on the saya. So obviously we're going to need some cord. So this is a silk wrap. I don't know exactly how long it is. I think it's maybe 10 feet. And you're going to need something like, I'm using a wooden spoon, something round, could be a chopstick, anything like that. Now it's generally easier to do this with kind of in your lap. But I'm doing this so you guys can see it, so sometimes I'll fumble a little bit. It's because I'm doing this for the camera. So first thing, you're going to take the cord and make sure that it's divided in two, centered on the kurigata, and then take the cord and basically do that. Okay, all the while you want to make sure that the cord is generally flat and you don't get it twisted at any point. So I've got my my stick here, my spoon, and we're going to start this by, I'm going to kind of hold this piece a little bit with my thumb here, but this is going to get wrapped around, and then this piece is going to go under, okay, and then you're going to have a loop here. Okay, when I have the loop, I'm going to tighten it up, and this is where it's nice to hold this. Okay, because I want this part a little bit tight. It'll make the next step just easier. Okay, and then this. So now I'm going to take this, actually I'm going to come from this side and put that there. Next step, don't tighten this too much because later on you're going to be feeding the cord through this loop. That's why you don't want this loop very tight. But it is nice if these parts are a little firm here. So next I'm going to take this and I'm making sure to lay it down. Okay, it's going to go around. Okay, and make sure it lays flat here. And then up and through that piece. Okay, then you're going to again put that on your loop, and I'm kind of pulling it tight a little bit but making sure I've got room inside these loops. And then again underneath, and then loop. Okay, pull that tight a little bit, and then under this, around, and then looped in again. And you should see 4, and we'll pull this a little snug here. Okay, I'm trying to just make sure I got enough room in these loops. You should see four loops here. Okay, and then just leave this hanging on this side. Alright, so we got one side finished on this step. Because I'm not using a chopstick, I've got a spoon end, I'm actually just gonna take this out and go through here because I need to do the other side. Be careful not to lose your loops. Okay. So now again we're gonna go around and then up and through, and then we've got our loop here. around. Okay, up and through, and then put this through the loop. And it's exactly the same as what we did on the other side. Okay, so now we've got our two trailing lines. Okay, this one and this one. Now we're going to take this, okay, again, keep it flat, but go find the end of it here. And this is where we're going to feed this through these loops. And this is where you'll know if you made these too narrow. So there's one. And this takes a little while. Okay, so I've got that fed through. I'm going to just pull it until I see this loop here, and leave about 3 inches. You can always pull this more later, but make sure you leave this loop here. And then we're going to grab this one, which is the one that came through the other end, and do the same thing. And if it's easier, you can now pull out the stick here, but sometimes I feel like it's easier just to leave it in there. Okay, we've got it all fed through. Now we can pull this out. Here's our two loops. So now arguably this is the toughest part. Your tendency is going to want to do, I'll just start tightening these all up. The problem is, if you tighten the first one, it starts to tighten these knots, and you really want these to make sure they lay nicely. So my caution here is to do this slowly. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and just keep doing it a little bit at a time. So you also need to know what loops to pull. So you're going to pull the top loop, and then pull this. Pull this loop, and then pull this. And you can see it's just a little bit tighter now. Now we're going to start to group these together. The top loop, and it helps if you kind of put your finger here and then pull it. Top loop. Sometimes I like to use a little screwdriver here just to get under the, help you get under the loops. And here's part of the problem here. If you go a little too fast, it kind of looks a little messed up. So you got to just go back and backtrack a little bit to make sure you get the loops right. And they look correct. Okay, and then I'm just going to pull this loop a little bit just to tighten this up. I still got some tightening to do, but I'm going to do the other side now. So after a bunch of tightening, it should look something like that. I broke my own rule and went a little too fast on this end and had to kind of go off camera and do a little close-up here and fix it up. But it looks pretty good now. Now it's just a matter of cutting the ends. I like to leave about that much. There. Now these will fray, so you can either tie them, tie a knot right here, or you could burn the ends, either way. But that is what it looks like. Can't wait to show you guys the rest of this build, but you're going to have to wait a few weeks. Thanks for joining me, folks. We'll see you on the next one.